So Tim, after you have your data set up, how do you track it each month?
Well, it's really pretty basic, Paul, right? Every month I get an electricity bill. So all I do is I go to the tracker and I'll just log in, right? And if I forget my password, there's a little password recovery form. But what you can see here is there's this row called electricity under my household category. I'll just click on, for example, we're in November now, and let's say I just got that bill. I'll just kind of click that on that, and I'll enter the number. Let's say it's 580 kilowatt hours, and that's it. Once I enter that number and I hit return or go to another cell, it's going to put in the amount of kilowatt hours and then automatically calculate for me the amount of CO2 associated with using 580 kilowatt hours. Now there's some other stuff that I do every month. The next one that I do is I look at my odometer reading, right? So I go out to the two cars and we've got a Subaru. I don't know if you can see that, Paul. I can blow it up here. So we got a Subaru and a minivan, and all I do there again is I go out and I get the odometer reading, grab that odometer reading, write on a scrap of paper, and I come back inside and I put that odometer reading in here. So last month I was on the blue Subaru. I was at 122,773. Getting time for a new car, by the way. And I add in, whatever the current reading is. Let's say it's 123,852. Hit enter, and that's going to be this, and it's going to figure out the CO2 associated with driving that many miles since the last time I had a data entry.
And then, Tim, how do you handle things like oil or propane gas, which you may not get a monthly bill on?
All right, good question, because that stuff's a little bit less accurate. I mean, not less accurate, but you don't get it every month. So all I do is when I get the bill, whatever month I have the bill for, I put in the gallons associated with that month. So if you look here, Paul, up here I've got heating oil. You'll see I got a delivery of 102.6 gallons in February, 71.3 in March, no delivery in April. I got a delivery in May of 66.6, and nothing until just recently they topped off the tank at 189.6. For me, propane, I don't use a lot of propane, so similarly I just get a...
So for your heating oil then, Tim, that's the gallons delivered.
Thank you, right. The gallons delivered, not the dollars spent.
Yeah.
And, when you're going back and getting historical data, lots of folks have questions like, how do I go back and... Because I could show you, Paul, I've got data going back to 2003, but I'm kind of maniacal about this. But the way you would go back in time, for example, last year, would be you just simply call up your heating oil vendor or call up your gas company and say, hey, can you give me a record of every oil I've purchased for the last 2 years and fax it to me? I want to know the dates and the dollar amounts. And you'll be surprised, but frankly, they've got it all computerized. And usually that's sitting in your fax drawer, in the in drawer, the same day, a couple hours later. It's a pretty simple process to do that for heating oil or natural gas or propane. Electricity, if you save any of your own bills, you get a 12-month record for that. Automobiles, a little harder to go backwards. If you have one of those mechanics that actually writes down the odometer reading when they do some service, that's a way of getting the data. Otherwise, you just estimate going backward.
Great.
And then the last one would be your airline flights. And there, the only way the best way to do this is simply to go into Expedia, recreate the flight, Boston to Atlanta, and when you recreate that in Expedia and create your ticket, it'll actually say how many miles are flown.
Great.
And if you see here, if I had a flight, for example, a long flight in April, and I knew that was 1,500 miles, I just simply put the number of miles in here, hit enter, and it would give me the CO2 associated with that long flight. And flight's a little more detailed. Should I talk about that, Paul?
No, I think we'll say that for another video. This has been great. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.